Hey guys, just going to do a quick update for today and sharing a little bit as I'm learning all the fun stuff. So I'm going to try to address this and try to make sure that I actually remember it since I put it on the title, but now I can't see it. So cancer and cardiovascular disease, the right mindset, adjusting to the diet, and the best flippin' pharmacy in Greensboro. Okay, so cancer and cardiovascular stuff. It's actually been really interesting as I've been reading this. I know that when it comes to people going for treatment, and everybody has their own journey when it comes to cancer for, how they're going to approach it. Many people just go in and say, okay, I'm going to do exactly what the oncologist does. And I don't, I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong. It's just a matter of what people are comfortable with. I tend to not be one that goes with the flow. That's just, how I am. So, and I'm just naturally curious and want to look into things. So, I am not one of those people that's just going to go straight with exactly what does the oncologist say. Yes, I'm going to listen to what they have to say, but I'm also going to put my time and effort into this because this is my life and I want it to last a long time. So I will be meeting with the oncology team tomorrow at Wake Forest Baptist. I'm looking forward to that. My sweet friend Meg is going with me. Thank you, Meg. So appreciative. And but what I'm learning about cancer and cardiovascular disease has been really interesting because when it comes to treatment for cancer, it's a lot of just going, what does the oncologist say to do, and doing exactly what that therapy is. But the question is, like, where does it come from? What are some of the commonalities of people who have cancer? What are some of the different things that they've seen when they've looked at testing, at metabolic markers, et cetera? And there's a few different things that they see in common, but also what they see is, for beforehand, for as far as what's triggered the inflammation, et cetera. But also what's really interesting is looking at patients who have had cancer and the issues that they can have down the road. And cardiovascular disease is definitely something that pops up very strongly. So I thought it was really interesting as I'm reading the book, How to Kill Cancer. Now I'm totally blank on it. I actually have been listening to it, and I bought a copy of it so that I can actually read it and look at some of the reference material in there. But the book talks a lot about the correlation between, the metabolic effects and, treating it metabolically as well as treating it genetically, treating it with the typical routes that oncologists do. And so I found that really interesting. And, I started looking back at my blood work over the years. My family were kind of nerds about this. So, I have an Excel spreadsheet that has, all my lipid markers, et cetera, for, the last 20 plus years. And one of the things that I've always had a little bit of concern about, even when my fasting glucose is good, my A1C tends to run between 5.4 to 5.6. So if you're familiar with A1C, I know there was somebody watching a few minutes ago that actually, I know that you have to monitor this very closely. But 5.7 is the number where they start to, if you're above 5.7, then there starts to be some concern looking at prediabetes. And so even when I've been at my healthiest weight, even when I've been at that weight where they're like, you're just naturally skinny. No, honey, that was work. Even with that, even with everything else looking good, my A1C has always been kind of on the borderline. And, it's important for us to, of course, know our family history, et cetera. And, what goes through my head, what keeps resonating is what the mortician said when my mom passed away. And that was that it was the worst case of carotid artery that he had ever seen. And so I knew when my mom hit menopause that, she wasn't taking care of herself. She gained a ton of weight, and she started to go on different medications for things like that. I have gained weight. I'm not happy. I'm not proud about that. My target weight when my body functions at its best is 130, and I'm 15 pounds over that right now. So, I'm looking forward to this new way of eating, changing some of that and putting me at a better optimal level for how my body functions. But just because that's what my body functions at doesn't mean that that's, what it means for everybody else that's 5'6". So anyway, but looking at the metabolism and things like that, and looking at some of the things that need to change, it really got me thinking about some of the challenges my mom had as far as, basically she had constant issues with her, the clotting was not working right. That's, she was constantly bruising, definitely indicators that things were not flowing smoothly. And so when you're starting to look at some of those parameters and you're looking at overall health, and I'm bringing this up because I'm getting the question constantly, you're so healthy, Tracy, how did you get it? If you've got it, and I feel like that some of it is trying to calm people down because well, if Tracy could get it, does that mean that I could die from cancer? That's not what I'm here for. Those are conversations to have with your own doctor, but if it causes you to say, hey, maybe there's something that I need to make some changes with. Maybe there's some lifestyle changes. Then if I can inspire somebody to do that, that's great. That's why I'm sharing. I want to be open and honest and transparent because I don't think a lot of people are. And I think that that's part of where there's a lot of misunderstanding. And just because I say something doesn't mean that it's gold, that it's, written in stone. Go and look this stuff up. Like, love yourself enough, love your family enough to go and do some of the research. But just knowing that, okay, there are more, markers that are probably leading towards, where that inflammation came from. And yes, I've shared how I've cleaned my diet up over the last 10 years, but I've also, shared more recently the thing that I wasn't sharing, which is over the last couple of years, just like everybody else with COVID, I got into bad habits. The gyms were closed down and then finding a gym that I wanted to work out again and then getting back into that habit, starting again, then breaking my hand and pausing again. And, it's something that we have to be intentional with, and we have to choose if we want to do that. So, be aware of what your parameters are. Look at your previous markers. Look at your previous labs. I know that like LabCorp is a big lab here, and so you can actually go back and look at your last few labs. Work with your doctor's office. Can you actually trace and look at the history of it to see like what is your normal? When you were at your healthiest, like what did your lab levels look like? Are there questions there? But I think that the biggest thing is like being completely aware and in tune with your own body. Like, what do you notice? What's different? When do you feel at your best? It's not normal to always just be exhausted and bitchy. Okay. I'm going to say this since I'm going off my estrogen, or since I've gone off my estrogen, like I'm trying to keep it under control. I'm like, great, I'm giving up food and estrogen at the same time. God help me to try to keep my patients in check. So, but just be aware, like, what are those things that are triggering us? What are those things that, we're not in our 20s again, okay? But what are those things that have really changed? Are you feeling this way and you're saying it's okay because it's normal because that's what everybody else is feeling? Like, are there other people that are your same age that are, within that same, similar backgrounds and similar activity levels, et cetera, but that there's still things that are different. You're like, maybe I could be doing something to be a little bit healthier. If I can inspire somebody, great. That's what I want to do. I'm working on inspiring myself, and some days it's really flipping hard. And speaking of, I will say that, so talking about the metabolic background, looking at the diet stuff and looking at the changes, because, I could go in and just be like, okay, what does the oncologist say? Let's do that. But I don't just want to survive 5 years. I want to survive a long time. I want to live another 40 plus years. And so what does it take to do that, to prevent the cardiovascular issues down the road, to prevent a recurrence of cancer? How do I take this wake up call and put my body in the most optimal health? So what I did, and I know several of you guys talked to me about this book, Chris Beats Cancer, or the website and everything. So I ordered the cookbook that was recommended actually by my integrative medicine doctor, Beat Cancer Kitchen, and it came today. So it's mostly a plant-based diet with anti-cancer recipes. And I am going to be real honest with you guys. I looked at it and was like, holy crap. Some of that stuff just doesn't look good. And I know that it's a matter of getting adjusted to things, and I got adjusted to keto. So, but, I'm slightly, I don't know, I'm not going to say depressed. I'm slightly kind of let down with some of this, because I'm like, I was kind of hoping that I was going to be more excited about some of the recipes in there. But I'm familiar with my IgG levels, with which foods trigger inflammation for me. And so when I talked to my doctor about, okay, what is it that I need to eat? And that was one of the things he was like, let's look at your IgG levels, because we'd already had that test done a couple of years ago. And I know that a couple of the things that trigger for me are chickpeas, green peas, and yeast. So, chickpeas and green peas, that means I can't do plant-based protein. But also when I start looking through here, like a lot of these recipes had like chickpea base. I'm like, okay, what can I change some of that stuff out for? And looking at, there's some stuff in here that uses rice flour and rice. And my first thought was, okay, my main priority is to start with my glycemic index to get that down. And I know that the carb count in rice is it's like 60 something. It's super high. So I'm sitting there going, how is that going to work? And rice flour and potato starch. I learned that when I first went gluten-free and gained all the weight, because I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out why I was gaining so much weight. So, being aware of those things. So I'm going to have a little chit chat with my doctor tomorrow and be like, okay, what else do you have for me? Because I'm going to try to find a few recipes in here. But the plan is pescatarian, mostly plant-based, but I can have seafood. So I'm trying to make that adjustment. I'm trying to make sure that I understand what I can and can't eat. I think that the going hard with that is going to be basically 2 to 3 months it does mean Thanksgiving and Christmas, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I'd rather see a lot more Thanksgivings and Christmases by going hard and by doing this than just, say, well, let me just get through this one. I'll be fine. No, wake up call, fix things. So if you eat pescatarian or mainly plant-based and you've got some great ideas or resources, please share them with me. I will share as I make these and experience them just as I have before. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like if something sucks, I'm going to tell you that it sucks. So anyway, that's the adjusting to the lifestyle. I feel like I put a third thing in there. And of course, once I put a topic on, like I can't see what the subject is. So, whoops. I do have to say, I got my, mindset. There we go. That was the other thing. I think a lot of people are surprised with my mindset. And I will say that when I was doing health and wellness coaching, that was the biggest thing that would be such a big indicator of who was going to be successful, who wasn't. And I will admit that, I've gotten out of that little habit of getting myself up and, going through that morning routine. I'm getting back to at least, daily devotional, gratitude journal, spending time listening to God's word. A good friend of mine actually sent me a good daily devotional that was like 20 minutes a day. I'm super grateful for that because I can listen to that while I'm getting ready, pay attention, and make sure that I'm intentional with my time with God, stopping, pausing, praying, but having that right attitude. And I think that that's probably surprising to people because I had my pity party, and I don't think that everything's going to be perfect. I know that I'm going to have some days where pity party's going to happen again, but that's not going to get me anywhere. So I'm really trying to stay focused and positive. Now, that being said, the overwhelm that had hit me beforehand. So I'm going to share my little basket with you guys because I went and picked up the supplements and then actually the best freaking pharmacy in town. I've got to sing the praises for Friendly Pharmacy here in a minute. But got my scripts and there we go. Okay, yeah, that's a little overwhelming. About half of it is supplements and about half of it is prescriptions. So I have the big pill box coming tomorrow so that I can do that. As far as the killing phase for killing the, for causing apoptosis, all that stuff, basically I'm on this protocol for 2 to 3 months and then we reassess. And then essentially what it looks like is 2 weeks, once a year that I will do this again to make sure to keep all this stuff at bay. So, so I'm slightly intimidated by that. But some of those prescription medications are, intended to work or they're on label for working for different areas for like lowering your cholesterol, working for lowering your blood glucose levels, et cetera. And so it's going to be hitting different areas, but I really want to hit the metabolic, the root cause of this while working with the oncologists, with the oncology team to address the rest of the areas, the rest of the issues, the bad cancer cells, getting rid of them, figuring out the best plan. So I will have a plan for that tomorrow. And I'll share more once I know that. I'm sure that there will probably be some different options and some things to think through. And then hopefully we'll probably be scheduling, I guess, most likely, either lumpectomy, mastectomy. Most likely, it sounds like probably a lumpectomy based on the labs and what I'm hearing and what I'm reading. That's probably going to be the path. And then the explant and build boobs back better. Just going to kind of be candid here. To change, what needs to happen there. I want the implants out. So knowing the toxic levels, and those are probably not helping. So that'll probably be like a second phase in figuring out how that's covered, because I think that they're part of the contributing cause of what's going on here. So anyway, that is what's going on today. I hope that you guys are doing well. If I inspire somebody to go and take control of your health, take one step, then do that. I ate a little bit late tonight, unfortunately, trying to juggle the girls' schedules and everything and working a little late since I'm taking tomorrow off. So now that it's about 15 minutes after I'm done eating, I need to go and take a walk. So timing things like that is super important for, for gut health, for your overall health. So have a great day. Thank you guys all so much for the outpour of love and support. I'm so overwhelmed. I think that once I have a plan, then I will know what I need. I'm so incredibly grateful for all of the messages. If I've been short with my responses, please understand it's just overwhelm. I'm trying to manage, processing this, educating myself, taking care of the girls, making sure that they get to where they need to go, making sure everybody gets fed, taking care of the dogs, of course, and, shouldn't say last, but because my job is what keeps me stable and gets the bills paid. But making sure that I'm staying on track with my job, even though my boss is amazing. So, thank you guys so much for your support. I hope you have a great evening, and I will update you guys tomorrow. Thanks.